Welcome. My name is Natalie Rabinovich, and this is a technical overview of AugMed. Within this video, I will focus on its technical design and provide a short demonstration of AugMed's functionality. To obtain a broader understanding of AugMed and the motivation behind it, please watch the overview video. AugMed is a medical tool that creates an augmented reality to visualize electronic information. It overlays text onto reality, allowing for the two to appear in the same frame. The text it overlays is obtained from a database, and all the data is set by a healthcare provider. Its design is based on two interacting components, the user interface and the goggles. The goggles render patient information from a database. A healthcare provider or technician can interact with the user interface, and any modifications made to the UI will be updated within 1 second on the goggles. But this all based on the goggles' ability to detect the fiduciary markers on the medical equipment. So how about a short demonstration? The fiduciary marker you see before you is associated with the patient John Smith. When you focus the goggles on the marker, it detects the patient. This is confirmed by the name printed on the bottom of the screen. When you look at medical equipment associated with the patient, you see information regarding the patient rendered in red text. As you can see, this infusion pump is associated with John Smith, and it tells the user the expected settings for the flow and rate. The settings are decided by healthcare providers. With the goggles, they can see what values are expected and what the equipment is actually set to. Being able to visualize this together and comparing would allow providers to detect discrepancies early and minimize the amount of medical errors. The text is specifically colored red because red is not a color commonly found in a healthcare center. When you look at equipment not associated with John Smith, no text is rendered. As is seen with this EKG, we are still looking at John Smith, but he has no settings associated with an EKG. So now we're going to use the interface and log in as a healthcare provider, which in this case is NMR, and hit login. This is the main page for the healthcare provider. And you can see that we can search by first and last name. We're going to simply minimize the camera right now so we can focus on the user interface. But we can search by first and last name. We're going to type in Smith, John, and hit search. And in the table appears all the equipment and settings associated with John Smith. And you see that he has an infusion pump with the flow and rate button already set. From here we can remove, modify settings, and add additional equipment. But if you try to remove anything without selecting it from the table, it will give you a warning. So let's go and try to modify one of the settings. We're going to modify the rate button. So we're going to select it and hit modify settings. From here it's already set to 20 milliliters per hour. We're just going to bring up the camera right now so you can see that any modifications will be simultaneously changed in the visual. So we're going to change the 20 milliliters to, let's say, 45. A little excessive, but worth a try. And you see that when we click done and go to the camera, the 20 milliliters has been automatically updated to 45 milliliters per hour. From here we can remove equipment such as the flow rate, and we just have to give a confirmation, and you see that the flow rate that used to be at the bottom of the screen has been removed. We could also add additional equipment here. So we're going to add, let's say, an EKG, which is the monitor, and we're going to set it to be on, so we're going to hit button and change setting to on and click done. From here we can go to the menu bar and hit the history bar. It gives you a history of all the modifications made to the patient. As with a paper record that will maintain the hit modifications made, this is an electronic record. It maintains a timestamp and associates the user associated with this history. So we can hit done and exit out of the healthcare provider. And now we can log in as a technician or administrator while still being able to see the camera and see that we're still looking at John Smith. So we're going to log in. It gives you the ability to modify the users, which are the different healthcare providers, technicians, or modify equipment. We're going to modify the equipment, specifically change the location of where the text is placed. So since we're looking at an infusion pump, and where you have the rate button already there, we're going to just modify that. And it allows you to also change the text. So we're going to simply change a little bit on the x-axis, and move it down a little bit on the y. And here we can click done, and when we look at the camera we see that the location of the text has been immediately updated. And now we can exit out of the healthcare provider. There are 3 challenges associated with creating AugMed. The first was rendering the dynamic text. From there, I implemented the ability to scale the text based on the user's distance from the markers. The final and most challenging component was transferring the 3D projection in the virtual world to a 2D screen in reality. Thank you for watching, and any questions can be directed to the email on the screen.